got this card from my wife today. I thought, at least for because I know you all better than I know you, Marcia. Thought this kind of summed up our lives recently. And so she just gave this to me, and I was just like, yeah, that's strange but true.
Oh, geez.
It's a unicorn barfing out the rainbow. I was just like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And there's no reference inside the card to that. It just says, wishing you a magical birthday. Like, just totally dry about, the front of it. Just a unicorn barfing up the rainbow.
Magical barfing.
Yeah, it's just so funny. That's really the spirituality I know, is unicorns barfing up rainbows.
Right.
She goes, we have so much right, yet so much wrong. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I agree with you.
I always thought with unicorns came out the other end.
It should have come out the other end, yeah. Yeah, that's how I looked at it when I first got it. I was like, what?
Yeah, this is a strange birthday card to get.
Yeah, but it worked. Yeah. Yeah, I'll read you what she wrote because it's nice. It might not be the greatest birthday, maybe even the suckiest that you've ever had, but know you are still loved, and if I could, I would buy you the Porsche. Love, Elizabeth.
Oh, that's great. Porsche. You should tell them the Porsche story.
Yeah, I was going to visit Cheryl yesterday, and called her up to say I was going to be late, and I didn't tell her why. It's because there's in our neighborhood the last couple of years, every once in a while there's this Porsche, and it's like I don't think it's either a Carrera or a 911. It's parked out in front of this house. It's just periodically. It's gray with orange highlights. It's sort of gray silver with orange highlights. I just
Where's the orange highlight?
love it. It's the hubcaps are orange, and it's got some like orange stripes on it, but not like super bright orange. More this like muted orange. It's just really a tasteful car, and I don't easily fall in love with automobiles, but I have just every time I see this car, I'm just like, just drooling over this thing. I just love it. So finally, I stopped and went and knocked on the door and just wanted to, I don't know what I was doing, but I just wanted to at least express my, infatuation with this guy's car. So she opened the door and he's there, and she goes, "Oh, honey, you gotta hear this. You gotta hear this. This guy wanted to compliment you on your car." So I was like, and somewhere in the middle line, I just blurted out, "Can I take a ride?" And he was totally cool with that. He just was, immediately was like, obviously anybody who has a Porsche has a love for anybody who has an ostentatious car like this loves their car. And if anybody comes up to them and says, "I really love your car, man," they're just gonna you're there. That's what they live for, that kind of stuff, So he totally was on this because, "You want to go? Let's go right now." I was like, okay. So I called her and I said, "I'm going to be late." And then we get in his car, and just coming out of Hollywood, I mean, he knew what I wanted, sort of like, I didn't really, I kind of wanted it, but not really, but he gave it to me anyway. And so coming out of Hollywood, I think he got up to probably 60 or 70 right here in a short little burst.
Yeah, right.
I mean, just in a burst. And then we went out on 29 and he went up to 110.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, and I'm sitting there going, yeah. It's a really nice car. He's had driving lessons. He's taken it to a track, and he knew what he was doing. And so he's a surgeon at UVA. He's a heart surgeon. Kind of figures. And actually, he was really kind of cool. He was also I told him I taught mindfulness, and he was into. He meditated himself and knew about mindfulness. So we had a really good conversation, we talked about, I was asking about the car, and, it was really fun just to, we don't do that so often, where we just spontaneously meet somebody and just jump right in.
Right.
They're willing to go along with it, It was awesome. Boy, I tell you, it's my, compliment the midlife career crisis with the Might as well just add a car to that, right?
Right.
Don't most guys have, when they have a midlife crisis, they go get a car or something?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, it's always a lucky day in the car. After you left, I thought about it because, I thought, oh my God, what courage to knock on somebody's door and say, hey, I like your car, But then I thought about it and I said, you know what? Like with me, with the horses, anybody that comes over to me and wants to see my horses, I'm like, oh yeah, come on, so I understand that whole idea that, if somebody goes to you, wants to know about something that you love, of course you're going to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's saying.
Share your passion.
Right.
Absolutely. If someone
came
to,
after I thought about it.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense.
It's too easy. It's the easiest opportunity you can have to actually meet somebody is through passions and interests. And if you find someone that you just know has a real passion, and you walk up to them and you compliment them about that, they're just gonna it's gonna be wide open.
Right.
If someone came up to me and said, "Oh man, I really love that fly rod," and where'd you get it and all that, I would start babbling and I would stop for an hour. And that's how this guy was too. He was.
I'm intuiting you like fly fishing.
I do fly fish, yeah.
Yeah.
I love to fly fish.
Great story.
And going 100 and what was it? 110 miles on 29.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's almost double the speed.
Oh yeah, the whole thing is not good. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts. I mean, it's illegal. It's this, it's dangerous. I mean,
he wanted it so bad.
Well, I mean, I didn't really want, and I didn't ask him to go 110 miles an hour, but he just, he was just showing off, and you don't knock and ask somebody to take you for a ride in their Porsche 911 if they aren't gonna, show it off, and this guy. So he did it once, and I, it was very clear. My reaction was like, "Oh God, that scared shit out of me." But he was cool. It was. He only did it again in a short burst. Yeah. It was a short burst, and he brought it right back down again. But man, let me tell you, it did whet my appetite. I'd like to, because you tell me about this. I would like to go to a track one time and have a professional driver and just see what it feels like to go. I mean, full throttle for 10, 15 minutes at 150 miles an hour. I mean, that would be just a thrill, It'd be
incredible.
Pretty awesome. Yeah. So, So I don't know how I'm gonna, how am I gonna seg that into some sort of spiritual teaching, and then include everybody that's in the room, whether you're sitting in the back or not.
I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
How old is the car?
Oh yeah, it was 2007.
Okay.
It was 2007. This guy was, in his mid 60s or something. It was. I just love that car. So yeah. So how does one seg that into some sort of spiritual teaching? And I guess just from my point of view, what's very interesting is that there's this whole grand adventure of self-discovery and trying to look for deeper meaning or some sort of quality of life that has depth or purpose or significance or something like that. What's very odd about what I've discovered is that it's actually the opposite. When you finally arrive, it's actually that shallow. And so there's a surface level quality to it that I'm just not. If someone asks me, "Oh, you're into mindfulness and spiritual awakening and whatnot, that's really some profound, deep stuff." I'm like, well, it's only profound and deep if you up to the point where you actually really truly kind of embody it. And then once you embody it, it's totally shallow, and you're just there's no nothing. It's just you're just here now and okay with being here and now, and the things that you might have put off before, like all the rest of life and fast cars and fly rods and family and social life and drinking beer and all the rest of that, all the good and all the bad, it all just evens out, it all planes out. So it's all in a sense just okay. I'm not gonna say that's all good, because there's certainly still good and bad. It's more or less that that I'm not trying to get anywhere now. I'm not trying to be more spiritual or be deep or profound or get myself in tune with the universe or one with the universe. There's just this practical day-to-day quality of being here is all I ever wanted. And of feeling like I'm just human and not feeling like I was born on the wrong planet. Like I wanted that to go away. So that was really the whole spiritual adventure for me. So when you finally do arrive there, there's this, how can I put this? If the Dalai Lama, okay, and was on one side of the street and he was speaking and doing whatever his thing, and there's this guy with a Porsche, okay, on the other side of the street, and I had an opportunity to do one or the other, I'd do the Porsche again. Right now, I'd do the Porsche because I don't have any interest in, and I don't care who I don't have any interest in what there's nothing I mean, it'd be nice to hear the Dalai Lama, or it'd be nice to sit with Eckhart Tolle and hear what he has to say. It'd be nice to hear any wise speaker. But once you're done, you're done. And once you've arrived to that sort of, depth of shallowness, the paradox of shallowness, there's no more that you're seeking, there's no more you're looking for. So you're totally okay with, there's no difference between sitting with the Dalai Lama from an experiential point of view and getting in that Porsche 911. Matter of fact, the Porsche 911 is probably more fun because there's no chitty chatter up here. It's just all somatic, physical thrill. And so when you arrive sort of to this quality of being a human, where you've totally integrated mind, emotion, thought, and body, and there's no difference between any of them, then most of the time you tend to go towards the things that are without the disturbance. And most of the time the things that has disturbance end up being mind-oriented, and it's with other people as well. It drives me nuts to be in a conversation with somebody that's not self-aware, that just keeps babbling on and on and on and on. And it's okay, but I don't have a high tolerance for it, and I'll try to get out of it. I'd much rather be with somebody and be doing something with them and experiencing something in the moment. Or talking like we're talking here, which is genuine, real conversation. So I mean, that's the best I can do to wing that into some sort of teaching. It's 9/11, but yeah, there's I don't spend my time surfing the internet trying to find spiritual teachers or reading spiritual books or any of that. I can fly fishing now. I'm just here. I'm not trying to. There's no more self-improvement motivation whatsoever. None. And that's a great relief and a great, when you've been a spiritual seeker for 20 some years, it gets tiring. It gets tiring going to the next meeting, sitting with the next teacher, reading the next book, doing the next thing that's coming down the pike. It gets old and it gets, so it's a great relief to actually just to stop and just be a human being and not worry about all that stuff. Of course, there is a reason. There's a reason to do all of the spiritual seeking. There is, and I'm not poo-pooing it whatsoever, because I greatly benefited from it. It's just that once you're done with the medication, you don't need to take it anymore. You can take the pill bottle and throw it away, and then you just walk off into the rest of your life with its struggles and ups and downs. And that's my take on it, and that's, I think, also the usual take from most of the teachers that are in my price category. Most of the teachers that you do the comparison, they're teaching comparatively the same type of thing. Most of them are that way. I spoke with two this week. I spoke to Dan Will. Do you know Dan Will? I don't think anybody in here's met Dan Will. He
Yeah,
kind of
he came here once. Didn't
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's come here a couple times, and he kind of helped me to facilitated me being able to teach this. So I talked to him today, and he just called, "Hey Jeff, I just wanted to talk and hang out with you. I just kind of miss talking with you." And I was like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm having a hard time." So and then he's a woodworker and a carpenter, and he's having a hard time making a living and money and everything. So we didn't talk about spirituality. That I mean, it's not we didn't talk about getting somewhere or having a better spiritual experience or any of that. It's just real life. And so that's and I also had another conversation with another lady. Maybe some of you know who her name is Catherine Ingram. Has anybody here heard of her? Yeah, she's beautiful, and I've known her for a number of years. And she wanted to come down here and teach. And so I had a conversation with her on the phone about that. I'm like, I can't sponsor you down here, Catherine, because I teach down here, and there's very few people who, if you came all the way from New York, how would we do this? And, it wouldn't be worth your money or your time. So we had a whole conversation just about, she just moved and she's starting over. And so there's this shallowness, which is a really great element after trying to be so deep all of your life, But that's okay. Wanting and to be deep and wanting to have fullness and wanting to have wholeness and wanting to have wellness. There's nothing wrong with that, and you have to play that game. There's no getting around it. You have to desire for fullness or for wellness in order to arrive to this plain and simple shallowness. The Zen quality of it is the sort of practical element of it really comes into focus once you grok the simplicity of this work.
Well, something I read on the internet actually was sent to me, I think by my daughter. She finds all these little plums and emails them along, or text them sometimes. But this was an email from a page, and I can't remember all of it, except it was written by a woman who had a friend. She hadn't spoken to him in years, and he wrote to her and said, "I want to thank you for that one-liner that you left me with that has stayed with me, I don't know for how many years." And she didn't even know what he was talking about, because she couldn't remember it herself. And then finally it came through. But the essence of it was, this fellow was stuck for many years trying to find out the purpose of his life and what he was meant to be doing or should be doing. And he couldn't do anything. He was just constantly seeking to find out what it was. And meantime, nothing was changing for him. He was really stuck. So in listening to him, and she'd had her own troubles and her own issues and problems, she either knew or came to the understanding that there are two words in this. It's called, when you're in that place of, constantly shredding your head and trying to, you can't find it, is go, do. Go, head in some direction. There's start walking and do.
Yeah.
And that's it. So.
Yeah, that's really good advice. That was, I think is.
Well, if I may just say, the reason I brought it up is because I really see how it leads into what you were saying.
Yeah.
Because once you let go of that or got filled with it, I mean, I don't know whether you got filled with anything, but for yourself, then it's go, do. Knock on the door. You want to talk to me about the Porsche? You want to go fly fishing? You want to talk to your friend about whatever? It's like, it's all, I shouldn't say it's all, I don't know. But it seems to be very, is.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. A lot of times you hear about that I'm critical of the new ageism that floats around that is about being here now and just really as if there is no mental activity, as if there aren't emotions, as if there's this somehow this utter complete um, focus and concentration on simply what is immediately at hand. And there's no, as if you're in this little just do being now box and the rest of the world doesn't matter. And it's just, that's very cartoonish, and it's not like that. There's a, um, there is an element of there's an element of awakening that provides that quality, but it's not the ongoing 100% description or hallmark of awakening. There's mind activity going on with those who teach spiritual awakening. You don't get rid of that. It doesn't happen that way. And being here now is, yes, there is an energetic quality that very much puts you sort of in that state. I mean, more when I teach and at random, that be here quality really makes itself apparent. Or I could be writing or just be doing something. It's just sort of like the meditation just kicks in. It's all that there is to it. You've done this enough times, your brain kind of gets it, and you just click into this very peaceful now moment. But then you come out of it. All experiences kind of come and go. And then when you're out of it, you're not so much focused absolutely on one thing, and the mind comes back a little bit, and you can get lost in your mind and get overtaken by emotions. It's just that it's not like dramatic most of the time. I'll have all sorts of mental, emotional things that go on, but they don't bother me as much as they used to before I really started to integrate mindfulness and awakening into my body and into my whole life, essentially. So yeah, there's a little bit of that new agey kind of quality that I'm a little bit critical of. But it's fine to focus on that, because I know that as human beings who are suffering, essentially, who feel a sense of separation and are called to this work, it's like you haven't experienced a lot of this, and I was the same way. It's like you're just dying for a drink of water. You don't care, and that little bit of water is going to have a big effect on you. And that effect usually is that grand wow moment into just complete now. It's called a satori. And so that experience is longed for and sought after, and thus it is talked about greatly. And it tends to overshadow the practical parts of awakening. And that's normal too, to have that quality to it.